because Michelle's fanning.
Everybody, we Fights Clean, Sex Dirty TV. We are in the season of peace, season 5, and we have our wonderful guests here, Dallas and Marci.
Yeah, and just a bit about the season 5, the season of peace. You know, the holiday seasons are coming up, and today we're talking about the topic of sex dirty before, and we'll get to more about that in tonight's topic. We want to first give you a little introduction and get a sense of our special guests tonight, as I like to say, our awesome interviewees. But this season is bringing a focus, so even if we're talking about keeping the sex dirty before today, we want to always be bringing in for these next 8 weeks this element of peace. We know how difficult life can be, how stressful it can be, and the impact that that has on your relationship. And we're here to make this the best holiday season you've ever had, the most peaceful holiday season you've ever had. And when it's peaceful, then there's more play and more passion, so then you get what we call the P3 relationship of playful, peaceful, and passionate.
And more sex.
That's the passionate part.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
the
passionate
sex
part.
dirty part.
Yeah. So welcome to Marci and Dallas. I'm going to give just a little bit of your official background first, but then we want to hear a little bit about you, you know, where you're up to these days. I know you just had an amazing adventure, maybe perhaps how you met, or even, you know, a motto or philosophy that you have for your relationship. I've just been inspired hearing about the highs and the lows that all of us have in relationships, and the attitude that you're bringing to it with each other and the contribution to the world. So thanks so much for being here today.
Yay!
Yeah,
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Raj, will you put it to the screen so we can see? Perfect, perfect. So Marci is an internationally recognized coach. Chalice was telling me a bit about her clientele, and I don't know if I should say this, but I'm going to brag a little bit about you. But I believe you've gotten your second $1 million coaching client.
Third. I have 3 now.
Third.
And I have 5.
Third.
I know that was my download. I have 5 on their way, so I have 2 more that I'm receiving at this moment.
Woohoo! Woohoo! So just want to say, you know, bravo for that. And really, you know, abundance and money is great, but what I'm not saying that to brag about the money. I'm saying that about the quality and difference that you make. And I know you haven't done any advertising. It's just you and the results that you create for people. And I love the connection. You know, Raj is very much into body and mind, and how you bring the mental that impacts not just your physicality, but your relationships as well. So I love here they call you an ultimate life catalyst. Average to awesome. I love alliterations. You'll hear me use them all over the place in this work. We like to talk about taking couples from awesome to epic. So that's where I hold you to as well. So I loved seeing this, you know, living a life of awesomeness. All over the world, international thought leader, catalyst for change, author, speaker, transformation mentor, and has appeared on TV and stages all around the world. Oh, forget that amp there. We missed an apostrophe there. But she has her own podcast. Marci, what's your podcast called?
I've got a podcast called Influential. It's actually a TV show that they're moving over to podcasts now. But, I mean, for the most part, I just do podcasts all over the world all the time. So we were happy to jump on this one, too, and see, you know, all the amazingness that you guys are doing.
It's so great sharing all of your wisdom. And I love here that you call it your paradise. I call where I live in Santa Barbara my peaceful hour. I'm working on saying our instead of my. Raj has been coaching me on recently. I say my house. He's like, it's our house. I'm like, it's just grammar. But we like to yes each other's needs and desires. So I've been working on our. But I like to say our home in Santa Barbara is a peaceful paradise. I know you're in Southern California, and you've got not only your 2 amazing boys and, you know, all the growth you're doing there, but also pointing out your new fun car that you're calling Badass. Is that what you've named her? Well, I saw some great pictures. Yeah. So why don't you let us know a little about your work and your life?
Well, I have I have a mind-body breakthrough program that's worldwide, a badass breakthrough adventure catalyst experience in Costa Rica, Colombia, where I take some of the worldwide game changers down to the jungle and do some intense transformational work. So yes, on my vehicle, it says badass being. It's actually the universe is the design of the vehicle.
The decal on it.
Yeah, it says locking down the truth on the front, because obviously one of my taglines is locking down the truth with Marci Lock. And then it says badass being on the back. One of my other taglines is power of choice is yours, choose your best life, that my peeps get in their program. So on the bottom it has choose your best life. So it's just rocked out with like the universe, because we're infinite possibility, obviously. And then awesome branding and logos. So yes, it's the mesh of being the badass, which actually you commented on my page, I think the other day. Badass and the spiritual being. You know, it's like the feminine, the masculine perfectly aligned into being your course of experience. So yes, I also have a experience, and then obviously the clothing line, supplement line, TV, podcasts, online programs, masterminds that my coaches run and I run, and then my personal clients as well.
Wow, and I totally missed the clothing line. I'm gonna have to keep an eye out for that one. That I'm sure is gonna be hot. By the sense of style you have in every other area and your choice in men, I'm sure your choice in clothes is gonna be wonderful as well.
For sure.
Yeah, speaking of good choice in men and that sexy man, let's tell you a little bit about Dallas, and then we'll get to hear about them as a couple and their journey as well. You know, Dallas is the kind of guy, you know, the last time, what wasn't the last time we saw each other in person, but a bit ago, I was at a party with about 60 people, and Dallas and I spent about 4 hours on the couch. He was about to leave and sat down next to me, and we were talking about his new, his next love, and really finding, you know, it was like, these are great people at the party, but I want something deeper. I want something, I want a reason to actually stay home, not a reason to go out. And it's just so delightful to see you guys here together. Also, Dallas is just an amazing coach in the world, and we've had the pleasure of being on one of his podcasts a few years ago. It was actually our very first interview as a couple, so it was an honor and a delight to be there, Dallas.
I never knew that. Yeah, that was an online summit, the ultimate love summit.
Ultimate Love Summit.
We launched Fights Clean Sex Dirty TV.
Yeah, we had done a lot of live, but that was our first recorded telesummit course, and we were on our way off to a vacation in France, so we managed to make it all work. It was really great and a lot of fun.
Well, this is our interview together on a podcast together as a couple.
Hey, awesome. Well, I love that matchup. And I love that Dallas's work is really on helping people find purpose. And if you look at, you've watched our shows before, you know, we talk about the 7 core human needs, and one of those is meaning, a sense of purpose. And so I love that he does that, like Marci, not just with, her focus is more body and life, and his is business and life. They're helping each other in similar ways. I can't even wait. I'm sure it's inevitable that the two of you, you're here today on this show, but it's inevitable that you're going to have some awesome relationship stuff coming out with the tools that you have, or you've been applying them in one place. I'm looking forward to seeing them evolve there. But we've got his Speak, Express, Impact workshop for people who want to speak more effectively and express more authentically. Raj is a self-expression junkie. He's going to want to know more about that, I'm sure.
I just hired him.
I've got people already interested in the second round of that, so it's going really well.
And from mess to success, adversity to abundance, he's got a great story. Hopefully he'll share a little bit with us about that today. And his motto and his business is ignite your purpose, living your passion, loving your life. So welcome to you, Dallas. You want to say a little bit about your passion and contribution in life?
Yes, I just very briefly, simply that I am working with individuals who feel like they've lost their direction. So, my experience is, 5 years after I was in corporate for 6 years, then I ran a financial planning practice for 7 years. And after my very best year in my career, it brought me to this really dark place of recognizing I wasn't really living out my true dharma and my purpose. I wasn't connected to the work that I was doing. It was all achievement mindset based. It was all just simply superficial goal focused on stuff. And I just finally woke up to the emptiness of that, went to a very dark place. And of course, that brought me to the best place I could ever be in my life, relationship, business-wise, emotional, mental, physical, everything on fire, because I connected more deeply to my purpose. And so helping people do that when they're in that place where they thought they figured it all out, and then the shit hits the fan. The gifts. I hope I can, because that's one of my core tenets is your challenges are your greatest gifts. So helping people really.
I love that when the gifts hit the fan. That's really great. Because I have a phrase that I like to say very often, that the problem isn't the problem. The problem is you think the problem is a problem. The problem is actually the path. And if you can take, it's in our work here, we don't want to just help couples, stop fighting or put an end to the things that aren't working. We want to take the things that are pulling couples apart and actually have it be the very thing that brings them together. And I love that about you as well. You guys really lean into the lessons rather than like, oh, this shouldn't be happening, which is a pretty safe thing to
Yeah,
sure.
that's it. Yeah, the leaning in is very accurate. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. And then the Speak, Express, Impact course that I'm teaching right now is a 7-week online program that I believe helps people who really do want to speak and share their voice more authentically, confidently, and make a bigger impact in the world. And because of that, they tap into their core purpose more deeply. So it all ties in together for sure. That program's going really, really well, being very well received.
Awesome. And can you, just so we get a sense of the two of you as a couple, you want to share either one of your a motto or philosophy that's guiding your relationship to where it is now, or anything about how you met or your journey? We just love a couple stories. I know you've got some great tips on keeping the sex dirty before, and we've got a tip, hot by habit, that we're going to cover as well. But top level, what do you have to say about love and Marci and Dallas?
Yeah, you feel called?
Well, I mean, the thing that even when we were in Bali together, I was actually creating my Epic Relationships Breakthrough Program because I coach actually on all aspects of life. And the one thing that I 100% feel aligned to is that how society tends to view relationships is like, well, I'm half and you're half, and together we're whole. Together, I need you, you validate me, we're whole. And I call that bullshit. I say, that's just two broken codependent halves.
Is that the technical term, Marci?
Yeah.
We're very technical over here.
We're very much aligned to that. I get to stand as my whole complete self. I'm the source of my own experience. I'm the source of my own love, my own support, my own wealth, my own everything. I create my entire world, and standing in my truth. And I think the thing that Dallas and I really experience is that we hold each other to stand in our truth. It's like we don't enable or allow the bullshit. We hold each other, inspire each other to stand in both of our greatness. Knowing like together, if I'm a whole and he's a whole, we're not 1 + 1 makes 2. We're 1 + 1 makes fucking 11. Can I say fucking on your show?
Yeah.
And it's like magnifying the relationship. So, and this is what people don't realize is that energy. We all have the energy within us. And when he's just magnified in his whole energy and I'm magnified in mine, we just magnify even more. And that is truly co-creation. So I think that would be the motto that came up for me that I feel like we really stand by is you owning your truth and I own my truth. And together we can hold space for, experiences, feelings, all of our journey, our healing, everything, and not attach or expect. We just get to hold space for that and grow together in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's amazing. I love it.
Yes, baby.
The
Yes.
Power.
And
the sex is already getting dirty.
Yeah.
So the power of partnership, I love it. Times 11.
Raj and I like to say both is better than one. That together, if we accept that the combination between what my desires and his desires want, or my perspective and his perspective, that having both of them is actually going to be better than what either one of us could have imagined individually. Yeah. So I love that 1 + 1 is 11.
Right.
It's really great.
And part of what you just tapped on is that we don't believe in self-sacrifice. That's kind of what the world teaches is like, there's compromise, and that means self-sacrifice. If if we were like, what do you want to do, baby, for date night? And if we say, for instance, we don't do movies very much because we're play people, but if we were like, oh, let's go to a movie, and he wanted a certain movie and I wanted a certain movie, and we tend to, a lot of women take this role where they're like, oh, okay, whatever you want. Right. Then it's resentment energy. But if we're like, oh, you know what? I don't want to see that movie. You don't want to see this one. Cool. Well, we can go create that on our own some other time. What else can we create that is a yes for both of us?
Go make a movie.
We have
in my house, we really like.
We take action.
We have a tool.
She's
What's that?
I said we act fast. You said it. We were about to go do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, these shows have been very good. These interviews, I tell you, oh my gosh, if I have one piece of advice, go back and look at season 1, episode 4 with Alex Allman. The night after that interview, it's the one interview I wasn't on. I was on a plane.
Maybe we should do that more often.
You should do that more often. But,
that was hot. Let's do this. Yeah. Got it. We'll go back to that one.
I have a tool called Both is Better Than One, and it totally exemplifies what you're just talking about, Marci, where that what you come up together is infinitely greater than what you come up on your own, and being willing to, from a partnership, even on what movie to go to, will expand you and often create something that's more fun than you would have thought of on your own. So love that.
John Gottman, the relationship researcher, he's been doing research for 44 years, and they call it the Gottman Institute, but people refer to it as the Love Lab. And he says that one of the strongest indicators of a successful relationship is, do you embrace the influence of the other? And women tend to generally be better at embracing the influence of the male, just society conditioning. So really it comes down to, you know, as well as, is the male accepting and embracing the influence, and not one over the other, but as we say, both is better than one. So we're getting into some tips. So let's get into today's topic, since we're doing this live at an earlier hour. And, you know, if anyone is joining us live, then we'll give you a little update about 20 minutes in, so that you can take this live as well yourself and ask us questions. You can either put them in the chat, or we'll unmute you and put you on video if you like, and you can ask your question live.
We jump in just a little bit about how we organize our content. We really pride ourselves on having applicable, in the moment tips, tools, and techniques, in addition to sort of the larger contextual elements of having an awesome relationship.
Yeah, theory is great, but you know, what do you do when you're in the middle of an argument? What do you do after you've had sex to make sure that you keep that energy going? You know, we want to give you really specific, practical tips you can apply instantly and get immediate results.
Yeah, and so to organize our content, we look at the different time frames with keeping the fights clean and the sex dirty. We look at before, as it starts, during, and after, and we organize all of our blog articles, our content, and even our TV show episodes around that structure.
Yes, and you know, if you wonder why fights clean, sex dirty, the day we got married, someone said to us, all you need for an awesome marriage is keep the fights clean and the sex dirty. And I thought, you know, just know when to wear the halo and when to wear the devil horns, or as Raj and I like to say, save being nasty for your sex life, right? Way too many couples put up with being nasty just about the life chores or just whatever interaction, and you know, you had a computer crash or something happen, and then they say, I'm too exhausted to sleep. Well, that's because you used all your energy being pissed off at each other.
Or they bring the nastiness to make up sex. And I was speaking with a good friend of ours the other day who's an expert in this arena, and he said imprinting that negative energy through sex, through makeup sex, is totally not the way to go. So debunking that myth of makeup sex and actually keeping those fights clean so you can have truly integrous, dirty sex.
So today, when we talk about sex dirty, I just want to say, I do not think there's no negativity there. This is a fun, playful expression. It's like, yeah, honey, let's get dirty. Let's share our deepest, darkest secrets and fantasies, and let's really kick it up a notch and make it spicy. So all positivity here. And this is about before. You know, we talk about the P3 relationship, playful, peaceful, passionate, but there's the fourth P, which is being proactive. You want to take action in advance. If you do a little bit spread out over time, it takes it out of relationship work and it makes it relationship play. I love, Marci, that you said you're play people. You said, we don't go to movies often because we're play people. I love that. We're all about play here. So we've got the exact perfect couple on the show today.
Yeah, and for those of you who might be wondering, what do we mean by sex dirty? We just mean getting into your sex life, having it expand, having your passion flourish. There's levels of sex from all the way up to kink, all the way down to just that intimate, deep connection. Just
to making it happen. Sometimes one of our tips is just initiate inertia, just get something going, anything, because life can get functional pretty quickly.
And as Gabby mentioned, in about we're going to make the Google Hangout link live, so you can click into the show. That button will appear below the video player on the episode page. You may need to refresh your window. We'll let you know when to do that. Then you can dive into the Hangout and ask us questions, ask Marci and Dallas questions. And if you do that, you'll get our free cheat sheet, which covers our top tools and techniques for keeping the fights clean and the sex dirty.
Yeah, we want you to have a quick reference, one-sentence summary of at least 8 tips for keeping the fights clean and 8 for keeping the sex dirty. Okay, so if this is a topic for you, if you're here today specifically because you want to do something proactively in advance, well even before the seduction, we just want to point out a few other resources for you. So these are some of our previous tips with mastering mini seductions, initiating inertia, which I mentioned before, and building trust for better sex. And so tonight we're going to talk about hot by habit, but go ahead and take a look on the website, relationshipfunandgames.com, and just search under our blog, and you can find the topic that most applies to what you're going through right now. We actually had someone see us and they said, I love that you organized the content that way. I was in the middle of an argument with my beloved, and I said, okay, wait, fights clean during. I went to my phone and I pulled up your website and searched for fights clean during, and away they went, or I should say, and then they stopped because they stopped fighting. Okay. Now tonight is hot by habit, and you can also find on our Facebook page the quick tip video clip of this, the video version, but you're getting it live from us right now or in the replay. And this is all about, you know, your relationship happiness is 100% determined by your relationship happiness. So we've gone ahead and put the link into the chat there if you want to check out that video clip. And what we're talking here about hot by habit is if you want to have a happy relationship, then you need to invest in your relationship habits, because they are your life. They're your sex life too. You might have seen this book about the power of habit. It was on the business bestseller list for quite some time, about a year or so ago, but it applies to business and it applies to your sex life and relationship as well.
To really embrace this, that your life is made up of habits, either your conscious habits or unconscious habits. And mostly they're unconscious, and we form them throughout our formative years, and then the rest of our life is dictated by them. And mostly we learn habits with regards to relationships from unhealthy sources. People that either don't know how to have relationships, maybe our parents who didn't have great relationships. That's not always the case.
Or just a default behavior.
Default behaviors,
you know?
as human beings, survival strategies.
Oh, a little nose nuzzle. I love that. Another reason we like to have couples.
Oh, you can see us? I didn't know you could see us.
We can see you. I don't know if she's seeing your face. We can see
I'm
you.
just distracted. I just want to keep touching.
Do it.
Yes, yes, that's a very good sign. And I know you guys are just apart for 10 days, so you've got some touching to catch up on after being apart for those 10 days.
Oh, yeah,
True.
So there's 3 parts to habits here, and it's important to know the breakdown of this, because the most critical part is the cue. So there's the cue, that's the initial thing that stimulates the habit. There's the routine, that's the actual behavior and habit itself, and then that's the reward, something you're getting out of it. So even your bad habits, your unconscious habits in your relationship, you're actually getting something out of. Now, what you might be getting is just being right, and you're like, ha, I'm right and they're wrong. Or I'm good and they're bad, or whatever it is. Raj and I even do our good and right, bad and wrong dance to bring some humor and flavor to it. But notice what that pattern is. We're going to have a lot of resources to help you end a bad habit and bring in a healthy habit. Now, one little tip about habits, the best time to change them is when you're on vacation, because that's when all of your physical surroundings and your cues are different. So if you build a new habit, then it's easier to bring it back into your home. So change the cue, you change the habit. Now, in applying this to sex, you get to regularly. Do you want to be regularly annoyed with each other? Is that the habitual dynamic between the two of you? You know, for Raj and I, our biggest hurdles are any computer issues, you know, computer crashing, or ending up working so long that we skip lunch and we end up getting hangry. We're hungry, so we get hangry. So do you want to build that pattern of being annoyed regularly, or do you want to build that pattern of being aroused? But you get to choose, and we're bringing that invitation to you now with the action option. We're going to wrap up with the action option here on this tip and dive into all the juiciness from Marci and Dallas.
Okay, so we love to bring a little play here, and let's
Ready?
do our Mission Impossible theme.
Your action option, should you choose to accept it. Now, if you are watching this live or watching the replay, you're already in action, so bravo. But we want this not just to be an aha idea about this hot by habit, but what's something you can specifically do. So I want you to go ahead and write down one current habit that gets in the way of what you want, and one new habit that you're willing to commit to that will bring you closer to what you want.
Yeah, and I think we should call this the Mission Possible theme, not the Mission Impossible theme, because this is what makes it through relationship.
right?
Yes, the Mission Possible theme. Then you want to share your habit with your beloved. Now you're going to invite them to play. Hey, I know, let's play a game. Do not force it. Do not pressure them. You want to inspire your beloved. Autonomy and a sense of free will and choice is absolutely critical to growth and development. You never want to criticize, blame, and shame and tell them where they need to grow. You want to inspire them by leaning into your own growth and development. Catch yourself being blaming, shaming, complaining with them and saying, ooh, did I just do that? I'm going to do something about that. That's how you inspire change in your relationship. So then you want to stack the cards in your favor. Make sure that you're setting alarms. You know, if you look at our refrigerator right now, you'll see it's covered in this communication process called nonviolent communication and all sorts of inspiring tips. My screensaver on my computer right now has got all the practices for nonviolent communication and description of the 7 core human needs that are underneath all of the emotions.
We actually put up a honey-do list on the refrigerator yesterday because that's where most nagging comes from. And if you want to break the habit of nagging, actually create structures to get clear on what you say you're going to do and then do them, and have accountability structures so that you can do that.
Yeah, physical structure, something that lives outside of you. Even take a picture of, write down a goal, take a picture, put it on your phone. So every time you open your phone, that's what you're seeing. I change that up regularly, and it's a really great way to not have to work on your relationship, but have your relationship play come to you. And then lastly, most importantly, do what you said you would. You know, Raj was talking about nagging. Most nagging comes from saying you do something or having an agreement and not doing it. So if you do this again and again, and then when you fall off the wagon, just dust yourself off, start over again. It's not about being perfect. It's about progress.
Okay.
So thanks, everybody. That's Hot by Habit. I hope that's helpful for you. And now we're going to dive in with Marci and Dallas.
One thing I just want to say about habits, just to kind of plant the seed a little bit for the listeners, habits can be anything that want to move you in the direction to up-level your relationship, to have something working the way you would like it to instead of the way that it's working and you don't like it. So just rattling off a few just to kind of generate some ideas for you. I get up early in the morning, and then we kind of rush into Gabby getting up, eating breakfast, blah, 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 and we can go through a whole day without having any connection. I put in a new habit of coming in, and I'm her cuddle alarm clock. So at 8:10, I come in and I cuddle for 5 minutes and wake her up, and we get to connect intimately. And it's a super easy thing that generates intimacy with us in the morning instead of having us be separate as the week goes on.
Yeah, I'm the night owl, he's the morning person, and so we just work it to our advantage that he's responsible for intimacy in the morning, and I'm responsible for intimacy at night. If he's fallen asleep first, I'll crawl into bed and snuggle up next to him. So I create it at night, and he creates it in the morning. So we took a problem, and now it's a solution. It's something great.
Love that.
Another habit might be having a weekly relationship date where you pick a specific day and time, and no matter what else is going on, you have a 2 to 3 hour date where you go out and do things. You can even have a list of things that you would like to do on your date time.
Yeah, Marci and Dallas, what are some of your relationship habits that you guys do to keep it awesome?
We definitely have a date night. We also love to have like a growth date night where it's like, what are we both listening to? You guys were talking about before sex can even get dirty, being proactive. And I think that's where, I mean, I know I'm committed and he is as well, that our intention in life is we're continually expanding into the greatest version, or I say the greatest remembrance of ourselves. And so, you know, we have like in a couple weeks, we're going to do 3 days of deep subconscious reprogramming together and couples work. We're going to Costa Rica in January to do 10 days of some crazy
Is it 10 days?
10 days of like, we're naked doing all sorts of crazy vulnerability. You know, we buy books, like we're both going through the multi-orgasmic.
She buys books.
Yeah. Multi-orgasmic couple, multi-orgasmic man, you know, David Data, Allison Armstrong. Like we're constantly looking at how do we.
Oh yeah, The Way of the Superior Man is required reading practically.
How do you, I mean, getting these ideas like you guys just talked about, you know, and so I think being proactive is the first tip I'd say, is like getting to know like what relationship so who you choose to be and what relationship you want, and getting to know each other in that way. Like I had asked him when we started dating, I said, you know, I want to know the 10 things that you love in a relationship. What are the 10 things that make you feel important and that you love? And then what are the 10 things that you just love that make you happy? And so then when we both do that, I know, you know, that's when a guy can get creative. You're like, you know, instead of being like, oh, whatever you want, it's like, hey, I love it. I love it when he, you know, has flowers for me. And like, I constantly come home and there's like he's brought flowers to my house or has flowers everywhere, you know, just little things that make me feel special and important. So when you know those things about each other, you know what kind of relationship you want. Like, have you actually had the conversation to say, well, what kind of relationship do we want? What does our communication look like? What does it feel like? You know, how does that operate? What does our physical experience look like and feel like? What does our self-growth look like? And so I think the proactive, where do you first get clear and always be on a thing to expand into more? And it all comes down to, I think, with getting more sex dirty in the bedroom, is how much pleasure can you receive? You know, that reminds me of Bali.
Ooh, good one. How much pleasure can you receive? I love that. I love
And how
that.
vulnerable can you
Sarah,
be?
capture that one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the things that I do with my personal clients, because I, you know, like I coach one of the biggest businesses in the world, the couple that heads it, and I'm like, set your alarm that when the alarm goes off, it's a proactive tune in. What am I creating right now? What are the thoughts I'm thinking? What am I feeling right now? And if I'm not experiencing awesomeness, I was creating shit. How do I teach a 5 steps to overcome sabotage to bring it back to feeling awesome. And then how do you expand that? So if we're feeling awesome, it's like, and the alarm goes off.
Wait. I'm sorry. I didn't catch that 5 steps. You're like me. I can talk really fast. The 5 steps, there's something about sabotage in there?
Yeah, so I teach a 5 steps to overcome sabotage, basically to reconnect with yourself, to live consciously moment by moment. So when you bring it back to like your mind was taking, like our patterns of our mind are meant to project in the future or the past. We're always like, oh, thinking about this, that we're not in the present. And so when you consciously recognize you know, how to get present with what you're in, the emotions you're feeling, what you're thinking, what do you want? Well, what would that new belief and perception be in an action? Then you create it right then. But then we can go, well, how could I create even more awesomeness right now? How could we experience more love or joy right now? And you expand that. So something Dallas and I did in Bali, we had like a day where we're just like, we're committed to just staying in the bedroom. You know, like how much pleasure can we receive? How much love can we have? How much can joy and expression, how much can we just stay in this to expand your comfort zone of what you're proactively expand your comfort zone of what you normally would shut down and be like, that's enough.
Yeah, John Benson calls those your pleasure boundaries, expanding your pleasure boundaries.
We like to expand those.
Yeah.
Awesome. I just wanted to welcome Nick. He jumped on the Hangout, and for anyone else that might be viewing us live, you can click that Join the Hangout button, jump in here, and when we have some moments, we can get you into the conversation. In the meantime, you can throw questions or comments into the chat window. You might need to refresh your browser window to make that Join the Hangout button live. We'd love to have you jump in here with us. So, Marci and Dallas, let's get to some of your awesome tips around how to keep the sex dirty before.
Be vulnerable. That's one of my biggest tips. Like, be willing to be vulnerable. One of the things that I experience is I obviously want to know what makes this woman happy, and what makes her feel good, and what it would be the best way.
What makes me squeal?
What would be the best way to help her squirm, squeal, scream, express, and feel just feel complete abundance and love. And so I have to be vulnerable enough to be able to ask that and be willing to listen to the response. You know, like really to know, like, it's all right for me to ask. It's all right for me to not know in the process of getting to know.
It's all right not to know in the process of getting to know. I love that. Yeah, Sephora Green, you've heard, no, actually this was Susan Bratton who said, begin as beginners together. And her husband, Tim, said, what does Kitty want, is what he would ask. He said, because if she's not turned on, why bother?
Yeah.
So he just focuses on turn on. He's like, the more turned on she is, the more turned on I'm going to get. And the more receptive she's going to be. So I love that, Dallas.
Yeah, I think if both partners have that focus, it's beautiful, and we do so.
Yeah, and it really debunks that myth that you have to know what to do, and it creates a lot more play because you're not like, am I doing it right? Am I screwing this up?
Yeah, and whether you're in a newer relationship or you've been together a long time, it might be it's newer and you're all discovering it, or it might be it's been, you know, a common thing with couples that have been together a long time as it gets stale and predictable. And so if you are wanting to say, okay, let's take this to another level, that can still be vulnerable even after you've been together for a long time. Raj and I have been together 11 years, and we made a promise 3 years ago that at least every 90 days we'd have the best sex we've ever had. Not that we'd only have sex every 90 days, but at least the that long between it being the best ever. And it truly can get better and better and better, but we've had to be, just as you say, vulnerable.
Yeah. Well, there was a time when if I can be vulnerable right now, there was a time when I wasn't feeling secure in what I was offering, and didn't feel like I was truly satisfying, you know, Marci, and so,
which was crazy. I was having the best sex ever, so that just goes outward.
Huge, right? What was going on in
We're
my
always hardest on ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. And actually being present to what her experience is, and even asking, just assuming that you know, it was not she was not having a particular experience, and so being able to just ask and explore is, and what you just said, being willing for it to continue to only get better.
Yes.
You know?
And there's another alliteration there, ask and explore, ask and explore. I love that one. I'm going to turn that one into a little quote me box there, ask and explore. That's some good advice. It's a good mantra there, nice, short, simple.
Yeah.
Well, if we actually do want to please each other, it's like, well, then, you know, how would you know unless you ask? You know, what do you like? And being able to have those conversations versus just being like projecting or assuming, you know, they're not, you know, expressing enough, or they're not doing this enough, or all that is like, these are just the insecurities in our head, instead of actually asking, like, well, what do you love and how to, you know, like, so I think that's been huge for us too.
Raj and I have a sentence that I haven't shared before, but something called the shared relationship vision. And we have a declaration of who we are as a couple. And we say this to each other most every day so that we can see, are we being who we said we are as this declared couple? But one of the lines is, we promise to spot, thank you, to spot, understand, and meet each other's needs and delights.
It's great that I could actually, she's usually the one telling me how it's going.
She's like,
curious.
I'm noticing, I'm seeing.
Yeah, and really wanting to understand them and meet them. So yeah, we also have a wedding vow. I promise to care about your experience and happiness, even when it conflicts with my own. So for example, in sex, one of Raj's turn-ons is outfit changes. And one of my turn-offs is outfit changes, because then he goes and he leaves the bed. I'm like, wait, where are you going? Stay over here. So we've had a compromise, and now we have a basket by the bed with different hats and whatnot. So we can change costumes.
He's like, I'm feeling a different character
workable
right now. I gotta be in the moment.
Yeah, come on. So love that, the vulnerability. What are some of your other tips for sex dirty before?
Well, I think you had something go.
Sex dirty. Oh, before. No, I didn't have any. I was just gonna, I don't know, riff. What do you have anything?
Well, I was gonna say, I'm still on to it.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Authenticity, like you guys were talking about with authenticity, is, and in the moment. See, all of this, I mean, really, everything around the bedroom is what creates the bedroom, right? It's like you're saying, that's why we're like talking about before, and I believe that's so much of the experience. I mean, it's like
24-hour foreplay, they say, right?
And I think that's one of the biggest things is we are so big into play and foreplay. It's like, that's why we're like, how much pleasure can we receive? How much time can we spend in the bedroom? How much love can we, you know, express? How much can we explore? And behind that, what you guys just kind of touched base on, the nugget of truth is like, even your declarations to yourself is that being that if we're not completely authentic and vulnerable in everything that we're experiencing, there's energy that we're storing and emotions that we're holding that affect the bedroom, that affect everything else. And so, you know, I teach my clients, and I live in a place and he lives in a place where it's like, it's okay to think or feel anything. And so there's no judgment on whatever we're experiencing. We can just honor and hold space. So if something even, you know, and I'm so aligned to my energy, he can tell if one thing is said, my energy will shift, right?
Yeah.
And so then I'm like, I'm noticing, I feel this way, and this is why. And this is because this is just my thought and perception.
Yeah.
And so I want to understand what that really meant, or you thought. And so, because this is what I want, is I want to feel clean and pure and connected. And then we can clean that up right away and move right into obviously staying connected. But I think a lot of people don't utilize communication, even though we're talking sex. Like, yes, there's communication in sex. And
big time.
how much communication is done outside of the bedroom that allows you to feel, I think for the biggest part is for a woman to feel safe. For you to feel safe, and even for a man to feel safe. Because obviously we just talked about one of his insecurities at one point was feeling safe that he was doing, you know, what he wanted to be able to create in the bedroom experience. And so it's creating this place, it's outside of the bedroom of creating that safety by saying it's okay for me. This is just a thought. It doesn't mean it's true.
Right.
It's not, doesn't, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. And having the safety to say, I can be whoever I am. I'm not having to wear a mask to show up for you to accept me. Yeah. This is what I'm thinking and feeling. My little girl is feeling fucking scared right now. She just heard that, and it brings me to this limiting belief that just says I'm not good enough, and you don't, you know, there's a judgment there. And getting to clean that up so that it's like, oh, that was never true. How silly. And thank you for showing me that.
That's why I love the statement, I notice, I feel. Mm-hmm. Right? Versus you're making me, or why are you doing this? Or
you said that, you did this, you thought that.
Yeah, exactly. So,
yeah, all of those are projections versus taking full responsibility. So I think that's the biggest thing in communication too, is and we always say blame or solution. With my little boys, it's like, you looking for blame or solution? Right. You know, or and are you operating versus expectation? So misery comes, it's a man-made thing that comes from you having an attachment or expectation. Yeah. And so when we drop expectations, attachments, we just clearly communicate, well, this is my intention and this is what I like to create. And we don't expect something. I can just appreciate everything he does, not expect it.
Oh, I love that. And you talked about authenticity and acceptance. So there's another little simple alliteration for us to remember. I like to, we have these great ideas, and then we can like leave people with these nuggets. I love brain science. I'm sure you do as well, since you're, connoisseurs of success and the understanding the brain. So that authenticity plus acceptance, like getting to be yourself, not having the facade and like, oh, can they, intimacy is into me, you see. So if you don't actually share yourself authentically, then you're going to think, oh, they don't really know me, or you're not going to really trust it. And then if you're being yourself and then someone doesn't accept you, then that is going to have you shut down. But every time you get that feeling of expressing yourself and being accepted, and it creates that safety, as you said, especially with women. A woman wants to surrender. Ravaged is the most common word when a woman talks about a sexual fantasy, but she can't be ravaged unless she can surrender, and she can't surrender unless she feels safe. So it's beautiful. Thank you for that.
And that's probably another great tip, that we really focus on understanding the polarities, right? Like there's the masculine and feminine polarity. If we're both in our masculine, if like I'm like kicking ass in business and I'm launching something and creating, and he's kicking ass in business, we're both rocking out our masculine, there's no polarity. Like I get to sink into my feminine and be the girl. And, it's like the polarity gets to be there so that, you can surrender and one can actually take, and just, being able to play off of those polarities is what keeps the sex amazing and magnified.
Totally. Yeah, that actually is one of the key points in the session with Alex Allman that Gabby was referring to earlier, was to be present to the polarity dynamic. And when both are in the masculine dynamic, that's not sexy. And when both are in the feminine dynamic, that's not sexy. And it's also not that the man has to be in the masculine and the woman has to be the feminine. You just have to have different polarities. So play that dance. So
yeah. So what Raj was doing with me was, without telling me, is anytime I was directive, like if I did or didn't like something, was saying so, he was receptive. As soon as I was relaxing into my receptive, he would go into being directive. And so he was just making sure, because if you have two that are being receptive, it's like
it's just like
noodle.
magnets, right?
Yeah,
your hand dances are perfect for
they are very talented.
Yeah, I like your hand dances. It explains very well.
I know, good job, honey.
This and then this.
And then this.
Okay, we're there.
The Fights Clean TV show in 5-hand signal. So these are wonderful, wonderful tips. In terms of before sex, looking dynamics and noticing. Are we both masculine, both feminine, and playing with those roles. You can even play with those roles outside of the bedroom and see what the dynamic shifts are. So wondering if you have more tips in what you're doing to sort of keep the coals hot before engaging in sex, because one of the key things in the before stage is that you aren't going from no sex to sex, or no passion or seduction to full on, because
or the what Amber and Nathan call the secular to the sacred, or the practical to the passionate. We get into our day-to-day lives.
Yeah, so like, for example, we have this mastering mini seductions, which is embracing the concept of 24-hour foreplay. So what are some of the things that you do to keep the coals hot? I mean, you guys are over there kissy and...
You're pretty hot. They're like...
Yeah.
With hot,
no. Well, one of our favorite moments together was when we were playing some music in the kitchen and just kind of like putting some food together and pretty much naked for the most part and dancing together. So like we're creating moments and opportunities like that. There's also something that she's really good at is if we're walking down the street and she just feels called to want to be close and intimate, she'll literally like grab me, turn me, and we just pause in the middle of where we are. It doesn't matter. The world disappears. We'll be in the middle of grocery stores, just walking down the street. Irrelevant. We could be in line.
I tend to climb up on him too.
She'll physically climb on me is a good one. So it does go back.
Pause. There's another alliteration there. I'm going to call that a passion pause. Yeah. Raj and I we'll declare kissing break. Like if we're walking down the street and it's a red light, we'll just be at the red light and I'll say kissing break. We'll just start kissing on the sidewalk.
Absolutely.
I think, well, and I mean, so this might portray to your love languages too, and like I say, that's like part of getting to know, like I'm very highly physically touchy, like I'm like, I just want his hands on me. and and even then that's why it's like I want to know, like we both completely rock our businesses and live a fuck yes life, and so to even make sure we know we have like the quality time, like we have our dates and our things set in, and so for us it is a lot of just like what you would call foreplay all the time. Like being touchy and lovey and box. We love to we're just constantly in connection by just even sending each other little messages on our Voxer app.
The Vox app we highly recommend.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think staying connected.
Vox, V-O-X? I'm not familiar with that one. What's Vox?
VOXER. It's actually what he's the one who introduced me to it. Yeah. And I use it with all my clients all around the world. Anywhere, if I'm in one of my retreats deep in the jungle, I can actually, as long as I can get a Wi-Fi signal, I can actually Vox him. Yeah. And so, it's just a quick way to do just quick audio. You can still text or send pictures, but it's like, hey baby, blah, 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 blah. Or I'm on, he was to hit this. He's like, I'm on my way. I'm 5 minutes away. And we can just, Vox back and forth. But we have like constant, just sending each other little things. So when I got out of my 10-day Vipassana, my 10-day silent meditation, I had all these audio messages from him and pictures and just, he's like, I'm thinking of you right now.
It's like a daily diary.
Yeah.
Like a daily diary.
And that's it too.
Yeah. And I also have in the past created a diary for her on video where on my phone, I took like 1 to 2 minute video clips of me lip syncing songs to her. Or just sharing a message about something that I wish she would have been there to experience with me when she was in Colombia. Mm-hmm. And I just pieced them together to like a 30-minute film and gave it to her when she got back home. Yeah. So I think things like that, things like that create this connection, this constant connection and intimacy.
Well, see, and so he knows like gifts are one of my love languages. So he created this playlist for me, this like with all these songs that, were like about like made for you kind of a thing. And I just listened to it all the time in Colombia when I'm like down there for my retreat. And then when I got back, he had this video made for me of like every single day, like thoughts or messages for me. And then he had done this like really intense, passionate, like lip singing to this song that was just about like wanting you passion. And like that to me meant the world, that he was just so authentic and vulnerable and like shared that. And, so it's like, he's epic at passion. I think we both live very, very passionately, but where are you willing to go? And those things take vulnerability because, and this is what I want to say about honoring this man. That's amazing is he in standing in that truth, he knows like, this is what I want. I was someone he had to convince.
She was out. She was gone.
I was like, our contract's done. Like at least you were. I'm like, I'm pretty damn sure I feel our contract is done. And he's like, well, I still feel this. I'm going to hold space for that. And I'm going to like hold truth for that. And that, like you're saying, that the safety and the surrender, being the person who would stand in that truth. And even where I'm like, I get to, know that this, like, I feel really drawn here. I feel really drawn here. And he just got to hold space and say, well, I feel only you and I'm holding space for that, and so being that vulnerable, willing to say, hey, I want this. And if you can't say, I want this and this is what I want, then, you're just wearing a mask anyways, and you're not going to really get that. So from the get-go, he's like, this is what I want. And he had to hold space for that to allow me to get to that place to say, oh, yes, this is a fuck yes, this is what I want as well.
Mm-hmm. And the power of just making that declaration and that choice, it really even goes to also sex dirty before of choosing. We are choosing and declaring, like as I said with Raj and I, the 3 years ago when we decided to have the best sex we'd ever had was because we had been married 7 years. And we thought, okay, the 7-year itch, we don't want the cliche of the inherited itch. What do we have an itch for? Let's have the best sex we've ever had. And that was a declaration. That was a choice. We made that in advance. We weren't in the middle of having sex saying, hey, let's have the best sex we've ever had. And so now it's not like you can force the best sex you've ever had, but you can create the conditions for that to arise as an emergent property. But it's really great to hear all of these tips from you guys. I know that you have a limited time today, and we've got about 3 minutes, so I want to give people a bit of a chance to find out how they can find out more about you. Is there any other closing tips or anything like that that you want to share before we let them know how to find out more about you two and the work you're doing?
The only thing that I have that comes up is choose integrity with yourself first. You know, if you don't live in and that's, I teach people that, you know, it's a fuck yes or it's a no, because it's integrity with what is right for you. And when you're in integrity with yourself and honoring that, then you can find the person that gets to, you know, you get to be integrity with the other person as well.
Huge.
That's great.
Marci is literally the most congruent human being I've ever met in my life. It's a huge, beautiful mirror that I get to participate with. And so I would echo what she just said and just honor you for that. I just love that about you. And I would say specifically for the men listening is you know, trust your internal navigation. You know, you get to be that kind of North Star, and that's really important in the relationship. And so listen for that, and then just trust it at all costs.
I love that. And of course you have to listen deeply, you know, to that intuition. I tell people, listen with your body and your intuition before you hear your mind. My body, with Raj, said that we've been together not just 40 years, 40 lifetimes. I felt so relaxed. My mind would say, you've got to be freaking kidding me. Those are the actual words I would think. Because we had so much drama and stress and mess, but it was the intuition, it was that internal knowing, that truth that we were meant to be together. And now 11 years later, we are happier than we've ever been, hotter than we've ever been, and quite frankly, better people in the world. And people tell us so. The first few years we were together, everyone kept saying to Raj, I don't know what you're doing with her, but keep on doing it.
We could have a whole show just on that. We definitely could have a whole show just on that. And that's, you know, such the greatest gift of it all is being able to move through the journey of it.
Right. One thing that I just wanted to highlight as a Sex Dirty Before tip is understanding your partner's love languages. You brought that up a little earlier. And if you don't know about that, you can check that out online, Love Languages. And if you understand your partner's love language, then you're able to establish intimacy with your partner in a very efficient, high leverage way, then rather than doing things that they don't even appreciate, do the things that they love and know what they love. And that leads to greater intimacy and greater sex.
Absolutely. Get curious about what actually works and makes them happy. Not like you're walking on eggshells with their happiness, but like it's generally a fun, exciting game to, you know, yes, your beloved's happiness and desires as much as possible.
Great. So let's show a little bit here about how you can find out more about what Marci and Dallas have to offer.
Yes, Marci, you can find more about her at marcilockmentor.com. And with Dallas, we have a few different places depending on your favorite place to go: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. His website here, though, for his free gift, go to adversitytoabundance.com, and we'll put all of those in the chat, Sarah, if you do that, so that people don't have to type it and they can just click it. And so he has this video for you. It's a gift and a series of 5 additional videos that will follow it, sent to you over time. So you get this powerful shift that's going to help you overcome any challenges and live your best life now. And as we've seen and talked about here, the practices we're talking about applying towards your life, towards your business, you can apply towards your relationship. And more importantly, as Marci said, start with yourself first. Get straight, get integrous with yourself first, and then bring that, inspire that in your relationship.
Yeah, I want to say one important thing. I was able to magnetize this relationship that was on its way, mainly because I put so much time and attention to healing my shit, being okay on my own. And one of the last final things that happened before I met her at Archangel Academy was I literally made the internal decision to stop being a needy bitch. And when I recognized that I had needy bitch energy and that was not going to magnetize the most powerful woman I could desire, I just decided to cut that shit out.
Yes, it's true.
Nice.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, we also want to share with people a couple of resources on where, well, first of all, where to find out more about Raj and I as well at relationshipfunandgames.com if this is your first time checking us out. And then also you can next week join us for Fights Clean As It Starts. What do you do just as an argument is starting? This is the early alert systems for avoiding unnecessary arguments, so you can put an end to that common habit of blaming, shaming, complaining, and as I like to say, to tame the tension and avoid those on-ramps to upset. So that very thing that's pulling you apart can actually be the thing that brings you together. So that'll be next week. But until then, we want to leave you with a free gift.
So you can sign up to get our free relationship reset kit, which consists of our 4-part mini email course, which contains some of our top tips and tools, both in written and video format. You'll also get our How to Keep the Fights Clean and Sex Dirty guidebook, which runs through at least 2 tips from each of the Fights Clean and Sex Dirty timeframes during As It Starts, before and after. And also you gain access to our weekly Fights Clean, Sex Dirty TV shows, and you'll be able to watch replays of those for 1 week after the show.
Like this one. So
and you can get that by going to relationshipfunandgames.com.
Now, if you want to get a whole bunch of our tips real easy and inexpensive and jump in right away, then you can go and check out our ebook. And Raj and Sarah, if you put that link in there, and this is the How to Keep the Fights Clean and the Sex Dirty, the 5 simple steps to solutions that really satisfy. So thanks for joining us tonight. And also, Raj, you want to make sure that for those that came online, like Nick there, that we go ahead and send him that cheat sheet as well. So Sarah's probably taking care of that. But thanks everyone for joining us. We hope you have a fantastic week. Remember, keep it playful, peaceful, and passionate so that you can go from awesome to epic in your relationship, just like Marci and Dallas are modeling so well for us here today. I'm super inspired, you guys. It's been so fun to have you on the show. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us, you guys. So much fun.
Yeah, it was a blast. We love you guys.
Great seeing you guys. Looking forward to actually being in person soon.
Yes.
Yes.
Have a great rest of the day or evening, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. And to those on the replay as well, please share with a friend. Friends don't let friends suffer or struggle. And you know, if someone's in a relationship, they're having a tough time. So do pass this on so that we can have more examples of couples like Dallas and Marci here, where they radiate a sense of play, joy, play, peace, and passion. We need more of that in the world.
Hope to see you next week, 5:30 Pacific time, and where we're going to be exploring how to keep the fights clean as it starts.
Nice.
Take
We'll
care.
see you soon.
See you guys.